No problem.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Grant. Of course, he was joined there by Rob Quinn. Interesting what Rob was saying about the format of the competition and how it can, of course, affect the substitutions. It does change a lot, doesn't it?
It does. Different approaches. He also mentioned the heat. That's definitely going to be a factor. We spoke yesterday about how perhaps some of the teams are more acclimatized to that than others. But yeah, a whole new 11 by the looks of it. I don't recognise too many that started yesterday, perhaps one or two, but we'll see if the system matches yesterday's.
Certainly does look like a new look team. Looks like Joseph Koshiba's going to be in goal, the number 13. Of course, yesterday it was Marcus Hill who had little to do in the Crystal Palace goal. He had to come and claim a few crosses from East Bengal FC, but they didn't really have much of a threat. So, of course, Muthoot, who have just come off a 1-0 loss to Everton yesterday, they'll be looking to try and get their campaign underway and get a win, or at least win the penalty shootout. Of course, those who may want an introduction to the competition and the format, it's 2 25-minute halves, as Rob Quinn was saying to our producer Grant. Of course, the ball does go, when the ball goes out of play, time will stop. And then after the game, regardless if there's been a winner, there will be a penalty shootout. Crystal Palace, they won theirs yesterday. They got every point available. So did Aston Villa. However, Muthoot lost their penalty shootout 4-2 to Everton, as well as 1-0 in the 50 minutes that were played. So it is a new look Crystal Palace squad coming out on the pitch. Of course, roll-on, roll-off substitutions will be in play. So far, the trend has been that the English sides have favoured to make their substitutions from half-time onwards. And for the Indian sides, they've been willing to just do it whenever, regardless of the time. Do you think there may be a particular reason for that, Ben?
Well, the reason in the Punjab FC game was that Sohail, in particular, was basically doing shutter runs up and down that left flank, and he was exhausted after 10 minutes. So it made complete sense to sort of rest him and then let him go again. And it was a similar predicament for East Bengal, who had a couple of standout players that were doing most of the running. So I think it's just utilising their most energetic and threatening and quick players.
They certainly have provided entertainment, especially Punjab FC. This is the first time we've seen Muthoot this competition. Of course, the other commentators, we're joined by Tyler Morris and Ollie Sasan, were watching that game unfold between Everton and Muthoot. And now it's our turn to have a look at how they fare against this Crystal Palace side, who we watched closely yesterday. We admired their professionalism and their dominance. Will they be able to replicate it with a new look side, as both teams are lining up with the referees and fourth officials in the middle, looking focused and waiting to kick off second day of the Next Generation Cup.
Yeah, the Premier League sides, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace and Everton, all took maximum points yesterday, 4 apiece. So already you're starting to see a few teams stake their claim for a place in Sunday's final. If Palace can get another 4 points on the board this morning, they'll feel they've got a great chance of lifting the trophy in Loughborough on Sunday. So that extra point in the penalty shootout is crucial. You know, you've got 3 teams on 4 points now. Suddenly, if one of those drops a point in the penalty shootout, that could be the difference between a place at Loughborough and a place in one of the 3rd place or 5th place or 7th place, even playoffs on Sunday. Stellenbosch, the only overseas side to notch a victory in regulation time, as they beat Tottenham yesterday, but Tottenham did win the shootout, so wasn't a disastrous afternoon for Spurs, but they do need a response. Penalties were quite poor in the games we saw from the Indian sides. Wonder if there's been any practice in that department. You know, the difference between a spot in the 5th place playoff and the 7th place playoff does mean a lot to these players. They don't want to come over here and finish 8th and have it down to penalty shootouts, defeats.
Of course, they want to build that confidence when they play throughout the 50 minutes. Of course, it's nice to win a penalty shootout. Yeah, they take far more satisfaction from getting points in the game. It's another trend we saw. Of course, the penalties from the English sides were far stronger than those for India. And now they're walking out, getting ready, led by the fourth officials. Crystal Palace in their away shirt, as Muthoot play in all blue. They go face-to-face in their second game. Crystal Palace looking to make it 2 wins in 2. Muthoot looking to get their first win of the campaign. Really looking forward to this one in the morning heat, shining over Birmingham. Lovely view in front, but the back of my neck may not be thankful for it at the end of the day. That was a minute's silence following the tragic news of Craig Shakespeare's passing yesterday. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and loved ones. It's a very difficult time. A loved figure in football who was loved by so many in the game. Tributes from Jack Grealish and Harry Maguire yesterday came out, filled with emotion for a man that was so crucial in their careers, and many others too. Coin toss just happening. As the team sheets are here, Muthoot. Of course, it is roll-on, roll-off substitutions. I'll just go through the team. You've got Kamalash in goal, Mohammed Adhanan, Ajay Krishnan, Abin Raj, Nasif Rahman, Mohammed Enas, Mohammed Ashar, Naveen Krishna, Athul, Arjun MM, Mohammed Sahad, Mohammed Thamim, the captain Arjun Raj, number 4 Nandu Krishna, Akshay Kumar Sabedi, Bhavjif, Mohammed Ansil and Anas. Muthoot. And now Crystal Palace in goal, Marcus Hill. The goal scorer yesterday, Finlay Marjoram, he doesn't look like he's starting, but Freddie Cowan is with George King, the skipper. Sean Samade, Charlie Walker-Smith, 2 centre-halves that had a good day keeping out the East Bengal attack yesterday. Cormac Austin, Sebastian Williams, Caleb Redhead, Melteo Dashi, Joe Gibbard, the skipper from yesterday's game. Played a lovely ball into their striker, Benji Casey, who's on the bench. Tyler White, Joseph Koshiba, Dean Benamar, Jerome Assay, David Montaigne, Kay Reese Adams Coleman, Enrique Lamires and Benji Casey. So Crystal Palace eager to get going. Their number 9 Redhead leading the line instead of Benji Casey, who had a few opportunities yesterday, didn't he, Ben? But didn't take them, did he?
Didn't take them, but you know, he was interviewed after the game with Grant and he still seemed reasonably content with his performance. He did strike a nice penalty in the shootout, but he'll get plenty more chances over the course of the next few days, and there's a good chance for some of these that we didn't see yesterday. Obviously the graphic showed the squad list, but some of the substitutes that were shown there are actually in action from the off.
Really looking forward to seeing how this Crystal Palace side do. Of course, Muthoot as well. Will they have the flair Punjab possessed? Already they tried to get it forward, but it's cut out by Walker-Smith, who's one of few players starting this game that played yesterday. Another player, George King, in the centre of the park. He really liked to drop between defenders. As well as that, he had an eye for an attacking pass. Here he is again. Good work between the Palace players as they just try to weave it back to King, and it's cleared away. And that touch is loose, and it will be the first goal kick. No, it won't. The goalkeeper, Kamalesh, keeps it in.
Yeah, Crystal Palace started on the front foot just as they did yesterday. They've looked really in control of everything so far at the Next Gen Cup. Obviously got a strong youth setup. Had some success in recent years in various competitions, so no wonder they're taking this seriously and really looking promising. Another instance of an Indian side starting out in their shape, defensive and compact, don't want to get caught out early.
Have to be key in the transition. That's what we saw from Punjab when they scored their first against Aston Villa yesterday. It was that transition goal that was poked home by Dodum, another player we're looking forward to seeing over the duration of this tournament. He managed to just slot it home past the Aston Villa keeper. That was really the mould of, I'm sure, what I'm sure Indian sides would love to replicate, especially when you're sitting back. The transition can be so important. That ball's played long to that right-hand side, but it's Cowan, the number 3, who's starting, making his first start in this competition under Rob Quinn. The number 12, Tyler White, on this right-hand side, occupying the right-back role instead of Finley Marjoram. Bump forward, up to striker Redhead. King looking up for it. He manages to find the return pass, a lovely ball just to the King's left, but nicely executed by the Palace 18.
Yeah, King is showing a lot of desire to get forward, more so than yesterday. Perhaps that's an instruction to lead some of these attacks. Looks really lively. Saw a lot of short corners yesterday, and there's another one. Got to be careful here, Muthoot. He's got to survive this early spell. The Indian side. Just wonder if they will be able to offer anything in attack. Seen a couple of Indian sides struggle to do so thus far.
You'd expect this from Palace, of course. The way they've just started the game, completely on the front foot, and here they are, Redhead at the byline. He tries to pull it back, it's struck again! A deflection takes it away from the goal. There will be a goal kick. Crystal Palace believe they should have had a corner, but Redhead at the byline pulled it back. I believe it was Enrique Lamiras who was there.
Yeah, just sort of bounced around the box, never quite fell to a Crystal Palace player that was in a shooting position. But Muthoot, the architects of their own downfall there, really a bit sloppy at the back. Understand they're trying to play out, but did get caught there.
It's Bengal playing. Later, of course. Trying to get back to winning ways like the opposition today, Muthoot. Behind us, we've got Aston Villa versus Stellenbosch, who had an impressive win against Tottenham Hotspur yesterday, albeit they lost the penalty shootout. But as mentioned earlier, you had to choose between the two. I'm sure everyone would agree the 50 minutes is the more valuable. Of course, having that bonus point can still provide some motivation for players. Here come Muthoot with their first attack of the game. And that chance goes begging as he tried to switch it out to this left-hand side. Unable to find the intended target of their number 11, Ashar. That ball's cut out. The captain, and their number 7 today, Ajay Krishnan, trying to go in. Typically, it's the number 8, Raj, who wears the captain armband, but captain duties have been delegated to Ajay Krishnan, who just sits in the heart of that midfield. You'd think the Muthoot midfield will have a lot of thinking to do in the next 40 or so minutes, Ben.
Yeah, going to be a lot of chasing, a lot of work needs to be put in off the ball, because it's going to follow a similar pattern to yesterday by the looks of it, in which Crystal Palace dominate the majority of possession. It's got to work hard, Muthoot, to stay in this and not make any more errors as they did a moment ago. You mentioned the penalty shootout. It is going to be particularly important for the Premier League sides that are competing at the top of the table at the moment. You know, 3 of the English outfits took maximum points. Only 2 can make the final, so all those penalty shootouts are going to be crucial.
Absolutely, and so far Spurs are on the back foot. Everton, Palace and Aston Villa have got every point available, so they'll be sat at the top of the pile. Spurs, out of the English sides, looking above them rather than below. So far, of course, Aston Villa won by 1 goal, Crystal Palace won by 1 goal, Everton won by 1 goal. And they all won their penalty shootout. So currently, it's all even in the top 3. What a touch that is by Cowan as he drives away to the byline after taking down that switch. It's a deep cross into the direction of Lemiris as it's chased by their number 11, Ashar. Danger signs there from Cowan, though. Their number 3, who's made his debut in this competition, this campaign, Ben.
Absolutely, very similar to what we saw from Benamar yesterday. Flags up.
Unfortunate there, but what a ball. I believe it was George King who saw the run. David Montine, and number 16, diagonal.
Yeah, just didn't quite time his run perfectly, but it was a lovely weighted pass from King, who, from an attacking perspective, has been probably the most influential player thus far for Palace in this game.
Certainly one of the most impressive players in this tournament. Will be really interesting to see how his career unfolds. It's another thing that feels really exciting when you're commentating on these games. You see all these names. Look forward to keeping tabs on these players and seeing how they fare in the future of their careers when they make the step up to the 21s, or if they move to another side, to see how they blossom. Players like George King, certainly someone who's standing out for Crystal Palace in this competition thus far. The goalkeeper, Joseph Koshiba, is taking his time.
Crystal Palace have been very patient across both games. Kept a clean sheet yesterday, never looked in any real danger, whereas Villa was a bit more kamikaze, more of a thrilling game, but clean sheets might just be the order of the day if you're going to top this table and reach Loughborough on Sunday.
Absolutely. Of course, Villa currently the front runners for goals scored, but Aston Villa did concede 2. Crystal Palace have that advantage in terms of goals conceded, and defensives do win trophies. Here they are down the right-hand side. White visited into Redhead. But who just taking their time to clear that. Here's a Shah. Bavijif. So he managed to weave all round their number 15, Jerome Ossé.
A silly foul from Ossé. Just buys a little bit of time to settle down. They're struggling to get out, but that foul just gives them a breather. Much needed one.
Good work from Mohamed Anas as well. Managed to use his agility to get away from the tall frame of Ossé. force the foul. They've got an opportunity, but it's the man that committed the foul that heads it away for safety for Crystal Palace.
It's a bit of a hopeful ball forward that from Muthoot. I know they're not on top at the moment. They're struggling to put together any real patterns of play, but would have liked to have seen something a bit different from them there than just a floated ball forward. It was easily mopped up.
They do sometimes like to hit and hope it. That's a promising ball forward, almost misjudged by the goalkeeper. It's their 96 today, Anas.
Palace always seem to have options available on that left-hand side, and they've got the quality to pick them out. That one obviously a bit too heavy, but it's only a matter of time if Muthoot continue to allow those runs in behind. They will be punished.
Another ball forward. Favour the direct approach. The three leading the line for Muthoot today. Ashar on the left, and then it's their number 9, Naveen Krishna, and the 18, who's already won a foul from Crystal Palace, Enas. We were told yesterday, one of the standout players, Naveen Krishna, had some opportunities, found himself in good spaces, but didn't have the execution to put the opportunities away. Palace with a free kick as they take it quickly through Lamiras.
Not seen so much of Tyler White as an attacking threat just yet for Palace, the right back. Wonder if he'll grow into it.
Here's the other full back as he puts it in with his right. Just past the post, never troubling Anas in the Muthoot goal.
Yeah, Majuram was the danger man from right back yesterday, and White did replace him in the second half and looked to be positive in his little cameo there, but at the moment Palace are looking to exploit the opposite flank.
Also finding more of the Palace players going through the left compared to what it was yesterday. We saw a lot of it come down the right through Majuram. Maybe he's a player that when he does play, they like to utilise his abilities, and we could see he had abilities, not just a finisher. Has an eye for a cross as well, which is so important as a fullback nowadays, more than ever.
Yeah, both Majuram and Benamar were very impressive. Couldn't live with them really, East Bengal.
Here's King.
Who's really sitting deep here, and I just fear for that philosophy. Didn't really come to anything for East Bengal, and who lost a tight game yesterday as well, so just worry about the attacking options.
Palace looking physical though. The second Ashar has a bit of room, they currently swarm him when they can. Not really giving them any room to play the game. But when they do get the ball, they like to lump it forward. But here, Crystal Palace, through their number 16, David Montine. That falls kindly to Montien as it finds its way through their number 6, Sahad.
Yeah, that was poor from Sahad. Not convincing at all in that situation, and almost allowed Montien in there.
Clip ball from White, unable to find a player in yellow, but of course, just like you said over there, it was poor from Sahad. Got to be stronger there. And behind us, my word, Stellenbosch have just scored. And you can tell by the noise, they certainly do bring the passion. Although we haven't commentated on them yet, Ben, you can tell, can't you, just how much this competition means to them.
You can, and it's another reminder that these Premier League teams are not just going to rock up and dominate. All right, the 2 games we've seen, they've come out on top, but Stellenbosch come here to win this event. You know, they're on 3 points already, on course for more this morning. They could put themselves in a really good position, and it just puts a bit more pressure on Palace, who want to take maximum points to keep their noses in front of Stellenbosch and the others chasing place in the final.
Stellenbosch, of course, have had a a good run in this competition. They were at the final last year, lost to Wolves. It was hosted in India. They'll be looking to try and change their fortunes in this year's competition as well.
Yeah, they're just having the time of their lives. They were singing on their way out. It's really joyous to be around them this week. Just great energy they're bringing. And again, just one of the beauties of this tournament. So many cultures, so many different styles.
So many different vibes as well. And here come Crystal Palace with theirs. It's a good ball put in. Hits the post. My word. Glorious opportunity there, although it was taken well. A half chance, really, it has to be said.
Yeah, and it comes down that left-hand side. Decent delivery into the box, and it just sort of ricocheted towards Reliance, but he did so well to take that touch, get out of his feet and strike it well. Unfortunate not to give Palace the lead, but they keep on with this dominance. It is only a matter of time.
First shot on goal, and it goes to Crystal Palace. Coming down the left-hand side. Yesterday, one of their standouts was from the right, as we mentioned, Marjoram, and today is coming from their left in Cowan. As King just loses out. Rare there from the Palace skipper this afternoon, oh, this morning, in fact. Such nice weather, you'd assume it's the afternoon. White with the ball in. Deflection, Palace corner.
It's getting far too much space, Crystal Palace, in these wide areas. Cowan, who's trotting over now, was in acres there. They didn't pick him out, but good to see White getting forward because he has got that ability. Very athletic player. Couldn't quite beat the first man with the cross there, but just adds that extra dimension to Palace's attacks if they can use both flanks. Keeps Muthoot honest.
The short corner. Punched away.
Love that delivery. Came in with purpose. Was dealt with, but that's the sort of ball that's going to trouble Muthoot.
First touch almost letting down the Muthoot attacker. Enas, the first touch, it took him away from the attack. It made him go further out wide. Of course, no one was in the box. Just like yesterday, we saw East Bengal put in balls into the box. More of a hit and hope kind of mantra. Then it was just safely secured by Marcus Hill on a couple of occasions, and the same just happens there for Kashiba. But on the byline, to our right, which goes over Lemiras, but he keeps it well under his control with the use of his head. Here he is, going in on his left. Up, switching it, and it's struck again. What a save that is from Enas. Into the far corner, denying Crystal Palace of an opener, but it's still alive here. Here's White on his weaker side as they cutely play it in. Redhead, another brilliant save from Enas. My word, Ben.
Just far too easy for Palace. Montien with the first effort. Redhead going close, knocking on the door.
They certainly are. You're starting to see Palace ramp it up, but that long ball, poor first touch again from their number 18. White, first time ball in, low, Redhead to that far corner, 3 saves in 3. What a game he's having so far.
That's an absolutely magnificent save. White does everything right, and so does Redhead, really. Just guided it towards the far corner. Brilliant work from Palace, and the goalkeeper, the only reason that Muthoot are still alive here, but we can't keep this up much longer. Looks like Muthoot have got a player down.
But that's 3 brilliant chances created by Crystal Palace. They're switching it from right to left. So far we're seeing far more in that attacking urgency than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday it was more of a resolute, professional, solid performance. Get the 1-0 win. They made the chances, as Rob Quinn touched upon, just weren't able to take them all. So far, these chances are far more greater.
Yeah, Redhead didn't get the most power on the effort, but he didn't need to. He did everything right. He just had to guide it across the keeper. It's well read from Kamalesh, but Redhead's posing a threat, and we are seeing a lot more from Tyler White.
One of those opportunities in the a lot of that three from that Montien, currently on corner duties, as he took it down ever so well and struck it with his right. Now he puts it in with his right, headed away by a blue shirt as it's chased. The white clears it away to safety. Now they could look dangerous on this transition, but outside to that right-hand side as the Muthoot bench go wild. They're unable to make anything from that. It was a poor ball in.
Well, Crystal Palace are playing one of the highest lines you'll ever see, and I think, to be completely honest, that's almost a sign of they don't really think there's much of a threat coming from Muthoot. Obviously, bodies came sprinting forward there, but no real conviction in the final ball. Palace feel like they can afford to play so high up.
That's a lovely ball. Redhead, can he get there before the goalkeeper? He does, but now it's picked up and it's in. And you knew it was going to happen. They had 3 chances in the blink of an eye. There's their 4th and there's the goal. Crystal Palace 1, Muthoot 0.
Yeah, Redhead was just stronger in the tackle there than the goalkeeper. He's the one really that earned that goal for Palace. Completely fair tackle, and then the goal obviously was just wide open, and all he had to do was just make sure he beat those covering Muthoot defenders. It was a confident finish, and Palace have been good value for this lead. Nothing wrong with that from Redhead, and that composure just sort of sums up the quality we're seeing from Palace in comparison to Muthoot.
Anas currently down, the goalkeeper, of course. He did collide with Redhead. You knew it was going to be a tough duel when Redhead ran onto that ball. Anas came darting off his line, came out of his box to try and clear it away, and you knew it was likely to be a collision, and it was. So hopefully Anas is all good to carry on. You don't want to see these kind of injuries in general, but especially at these kind of competitions for these youth players, but expertly dispatched by the Crystal Palace 18. Now they find themselves a goal up to 0. They're currently just in a huddle. Crystal Palace having a water break. Usually we do have water breaks, but in the afternoon games. But this gives a chance for Palace to rehydrate after they find themselves a goal up, which they'll be happy with. We're currently 1-0 to Stellenbosch in the game behind us. They lead against Aston Villa. And on this pitch, it's the English side that are beating their opponent overseas. And it looks like it could be a tough battle for Muthoot. Of course, they're not out of it. They have looked, well, their one chance where they managed to get the ball forward. They look like they could have done something, but it's when they get to the flanks and they put the ball in, it doesn't really have any accuracy, and it's so easy for Palace to defend.
It is easy for Palace to defend, but they are going to be really tough to beat in this competition. They've made all these changes, and the drop-off has been non-existent, to be honest. They look just as assured as they did yesterday. And, you know, I mentioned White earlier on was a bit quiet, but they're really introducing him into the game now. Both him and Cowan causing a threat, and Redhead's making really good runs in behind, as we saw, which led to the goal. A bit like Casey yesterday. So they've got depth in all areas, Palace. That's going to stand them in good stead this week.
Absolutely. Come forward again. That far right side. It's easily dealt with by Walker Smith. Bit of a size difference there between Muthoot attacker Krishna up against big frame of Walker Smith.
Yeah, there's size differences all over the pitch. I think that's one of the reasons Palace have been able to impose themselves so easily in this matchup. They just seem to be stronger and quicker in all departments. And when you've got more quality as well, it's very hard to see who can get back into this based off what we've seen.
Of course, once Crystal Palace made it 1-0, felt East Bengal had to do something, and they weren't really able to create anything, and it was so straightforward for Palace. We're seeing the same narrative here. Ends up being a lovely ball, but that's a couple of sloppy bits of play we've seen from Sahad when he's had to deal with the ball coming over him. He's allowed room in for Cowan behind him. Cowan ends up being the better off in that duo.
What a touch. Offside anyway, but what a touch that was. Crystal Palace might go through the gears. East Bengal yesterday, the only real opportunities they had was a couple of half-hearted appeals I felt for penalties. Couple of incidents, but referee, I think in my book, rightly waved them away. I know if East Bengal fans weren't best pleased, but that was all they were really limited to, and Palace will hope to produce a similar defensive display for the remainder of this one, keep that clean sheet going.
Ramirez just trying to take it down. Picked up again by the goal scorer. Bursted forward there from Jerome Massey. What a turn of pace.
Again, stronger and quicker than the opponents.
Really good play here from Crystal Palace. Not the execution they'd have wanted in that ball, but the lead up to it, they just know exactly where the other player's going, where they are. I feel like Muthoot don't have that same footballing
That's
IQ.
lovely, that's lovely. That dinked pass from the goalkeeper and the touch from Cowan, absolutely beautiful football. And here's Cowan again on the run, but that was just sumptuous.
Now they've got technical ability to be able to pull off those passes and to just beat any pressure. I feel like when Muthoot do get on the ball, rather than try and play it pristinely through the Crystal Palace lines, they'd rather just lump it forward. I guess that's their tactic. They're going to try and make it work. It's not working at the moment. I think Crystal Palace will accept these tactics all day long.
I think we're seeing the benefit of a completely changed team. These Crystal Palace boys look really fit, really fresh, really up for it. I think it might be a masterstroke, completely rotating the side.
Jerome Massey, centre half I've been impressed with so far. He pops up all over the pitch. He loves to get forward. He's a bit of a brute in a good way, of course. A strong man, tall, quick. Defender you'd want in your side, who possesses all the capabilities. That sound effect isn't very nice, as you hear the clip between the boots of their number 11, Ashar, and of course Lamiras. Luckily he's all good. He didn't even go down.
No, just wonder if you might see a few signs of frustration at some point from Muthoot. They've been completely outclassed so far, and no real signs of how they're going to turn that around. A bit of a surprise they've not looked to their bench yet, try and change something up, but their tactics have been the same all game as well. Despite going 1-0 down, they're still keeping that shape, trying to stay compact, trying to not allow Palace any joy coming forward. But like you say, Osei from centre-back is getting forward a lot. It's because he's got licence to. It's because he's got no real threat the other way. Why not get involved?
It's a very fair point. Interesting when they maybe come up against tougher opposition, or if they do come up against tougher opposition. We don't know how the final table will pan out, who the future fixtures will be. Of course, they've got one more game, Crystal Palace, and that is tomorrow.
Yeah, and they'll look to be
Against
a perfect 8 from 8 in that situation.
the opposition they've got is Stellenbosch just behind us, who so far doing their bit in the 50 minutes. 1-0 up against Aston Villa, beat Spurs yesterday. We're looking to make it 3-3 against Crystal Palace tomorrow, if they're able, of course, to get across the line today.
Yeah, that'll be a really interesting contest, the sort of pragmatism and solidity of Palace against the vibrancy of Stellenbosch.
Like an interception at first from Lamiras, but ended up being a really cute pass. And what a ball that is! Oh, a lovely goal. Lamiras in the heart of it, curling one over to that far post, and it's tucked away with some aplomb from the number 16, David Montien, who had an opportunity earlier on in this game. And this time, he took it away with his second.
Yeah, and that is just another moment of absolute brilliance from Palace. Yes, it's given away from Muthoot. They've been doing that all game, but Lamiras just picks up his head and he just ghosts in, not tracked the run of Montien. But there's still so much to do for Lamiras to pick him out, and the finish is so instinctive. Keeper comes out, sort of makes a decision for Montien as to how he's got to beat him. Just sort of little dink. So dominant here, and 2-0 does not flatter Palace, and that is just one of the better goals you'll see all week.
Of course, it's a new look side compared to the one that played yesterday, but certainly impressed with this Crystal Palace performance. A bit more flair in the side, That cute ball from Lemiras, who didn't feature yesterday, is certainly making a statement. Here he is again, looking for a second assist. This time it's safe hands from Anas. He rolls it out straight away to try and kickstart a Muthoot counter. That's short-lived. Cowan on the overlap for the second goal scorer, Montien. Collected away. See, they're now playing forward, and it's a run of the number 11, Ashar, who's in the box. Couldn't it loop the goalkeeper? It went beyond the goal before it could have troubled Joseph Koshiba.
Poor cross. Need more quality than that. If you are only going to get forward once or twice in the half, those rare moments where you are in behind, you need to be more clinical. Just not sure if he was caught in two minds, whether he saw the keeper off his line or not. But it's wasteful. But Crystal Palace didn't run up a score yesterday, and you heard Benji Casey post-match saying he regretted that slightly, and Rob Quinn, when he was speaking to Grant before the game, made his intentions clear. He wants to see more goals from his side.
This is beautiful. Oh, he's offside. Unfortunate for White on this right-hand side. They linked up so nicely. What passage of play that was, Ben?
Was just a bit of inexperience from White, not looking across the line. Didn't need to be offside there. He had so much room. Just mistimed his run. Move breaks down, but I'm sure they'll come forward again shortly, where this has been going.
I think as well, when Muthoot do get forward, they've really favoured the cross, and every cross has been really poor. Got to surely improve that quality if that's going to be a tactic that they're going to use a lot, and that's unfortunate because you could see Ashar was going to be in plenty of room if the Muthoot midfielder managed to firstly have the ball at his feet and then play it into him. Redhead, the striker, popping up on the left to the byline, still running. Corner kick for Palace.
Very lively Redhead, like you say, moving out to a wide position to pick up the ball there, and the confidence to drive into the box with ease. Muthoot defenders just haven't been able to live with Redhead or Lemiras. Again, I'm just surprised they've not changed the personnel to try and find a solution.
Both arms raised. More yellow shirts towards the back post. Sure, that'll change. Short corner. Back to the second goal scorer as he tries to turn provider. Walker Smith was at the back post. He's frustrated as he kicks the ball into that netting in front of him.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether the defender got a touch on that or whether Walker Smith just wasn't quite expecting it. It was a nice floated delivery. Walker Smith was in a good position. I just think he maybe closed his eyes as he headed that. Expected it to be cut out before it reached him, but got to take a gamble in those situations.
There's an angle to work with as well. It wasn't like the goal was right in front of him. Been some ask and some header, but it remains 2-0.
Yeah, and it could be more. I think Palace really got a bit between their teeth here. They want to solidify themselves as the top team in this competition, at least in the league phase, and be the team to beat going into Loughborough if they do make it, which they're looking good to do.
Hold up play from Redhead, just unsuccessful there as Muthoot look to get the ball forward once again. Osei, he's beaten for pace this time, but what a challenge. Is he allowed their number 9, Krishna, to get him behind just for a brief second? I'm sure Krishna's eyes lit up, but Osei coming down to slide the ball away. What a challenge that was, Ben.
Great challenge. Didn't panic when he got beaten to that first touch by Krishna. It's been a few times we've seen Muthoot have a 3-on-3 situation, but Palace never panic, and they've come out on top on each occasion.
Out-swinging delivery, plenty of pace on that. Koshiba arms it away into the path of Lemiras. Referee blowing his whistle. Walker Smith is down, holding the top of his head. Perhaps there was a collision. Well, there would have been either with the head or the palms of his goalkeeper, Joseph Koshiba. This gives a chance for Muthoot to regroup.
Lemiras has got a lovely touch. He brought that down superbly before the whistle went. Really impressed with him in this first half.
Any other special mentions, Ben, so far in the opening 20 minutes here?
Well, I think Cowan on the left-hand side has been lively, and Redhead up front. He's had his chances. Obviously played a big part in the first goal. Real... What an effort.
The acrobatics. That's the style and flair we've seen from India so far in this competition. And what a goal that would have been. I think we saw one of the goals of the competition yesterday, scored by Punjab. That would have certainly topped the lot we've seen so far.
Well, that would have been the most spectacular for Menas. Came out of absolutely nothing. Where did he pull that one out from? Just as I was saying about Redhead making an impact at the other end. Not seen quite so much from the Muthoot forwards.
Sloppy from Palace here as they're allowing Muthoot back into the game, as they're starting to get more opportunities. Once again, it's their number 9 who had that brilliant acrobatic effort. Krishna once again trying to look to bend one. Instead it comes off a yellow shirt and it will be a corner. We were told yesterday Krishna, he had a couple of opportunities. He was unable to take them. He's unable to take that one there, but mainly down to the resolute Palace defending. But it was quite sloppy from Osei just before that to give the ball away. Palace just having to, well, say hold on. They're still comfortably in the lead, but just having to be wary as we enter the last 5 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, Osei got back in well though after the error. Crucial intervention from him.
Another outswinger, this time towards the front post. Miras with the header. Throw ball in, and it's picked up on the ricochet. Deflected back to the captain. It was the number 7 who struck it low, but unable to gain any real accuracy to take it past Korshiba. It was AJ Krishnan who had the opportunity.
And probably their best chance of the game. Felt him in a good area. Okay strike. Not an altogether difficult one. Bit fortunate for White that his touch went straight to his goalkeeper, but at least it's something for Muthoot fans to get excited about as we edge closer to half-time.
Muthoot just showing more glimmers of what they can do. Alice being quite sloppy in this closing stage of the first half. As here's another opportunity for their 11, puts it across the box. Ashar trying to find a player in dark blue. Is picked up again. Able to get into the box as King makes the interception.
Yeah, slight change in momentum here, which will encourage the Muthoot coaching staff below us. A bit more energy. A lot of it is coming from Ashar. And just giving the likes of Osei something to think about for the first time.
So far, Muthoot unable to make anything count. Have another opportunity in the Palace half. The number 4 who gets forward.
Yeah, they're just playing higher up the pitch now, Muthoot. It's obviously a risk. They could get caught at the other end, but they've got to do something if they want to get back into this.
Ashar. Blocked by White, picked up by Miras. Oh, lovely feed as he just glides past Kashar. And to find it back into Redhead.
The Miras has been absolutely outstanding. His touch, his movement, unbelievable player.
Miras with the curling ball in. Able to find a player in yellow. The only one who was in the box was Coleman. The tall frame of their number 17, Coleman, lurking around the box, but even that ball had too much height on it for him. Try and nod home.
Well, it was a decent ball actually from the Miras. Only one player in the box. I thought Cowan might have tried to ghost in there and arrive at the back post similarly to how Marjoram did yesterday, but just didn't quite anticipate that was where the ball was going to go.
So 2.5 minutes left of this first half. Hoot 0, Crystal Palace 2. trend we've seen in the last 3 or 4 minutes. We're just starting to make a slight mark on this game. All Crystal Palace in the opening 17, 18 minutes. Now just a little bit of sloppiness in the defending from the Eagles have allowed Muthoot to have more possession there. Half. Here they are again, but sloppy from Ashar. Cleared away. Half-time whistle has just blown for Aston Villa Stellenbosch. In the meantime, Koshiba spills it. But he manages to do what he was there to do and takes it away from their talisman, Krishna. So Palace just having to think about how they end this first half now. They look to maybe add to their 2-goal lead. Here's Coleman.
Great
Looked like
work.
he was dispossessed, but like you said, Ben, lovely work there. Now Montien, Cowan on the overlap. King. White. The cute outside of the boot pass. Cowan has to run onto it, but he finds the ball. Miras not allowing Ashar the ball. Almost allowing Krishna. And then Muthoot furious with the referee's decision. That goes Crystal Palace's way.
Foul.
Roma say foul. Not the first time this game.
Yeah, clear foul. Cowan was just allowed too much time to deliver that cross there, and Muthoot have been guilty of that a few times, allowing balls to come into the box, and Palace having the height advantage, particularly with Redhead in there. Need to be a bit more careful with that. Cowan's got a good delivery on him as well, and we've seen the same from White and Lamiras. Got to stop these crosses at source.
So a minute to go. Palace just enjoying the ball in the opposition half, which we haven't seen much of in the last 7 or so minutes. Muthoot have certainly woken up compared to their opening quarter of an hour. Could Crystal Palace end it very well as Cowan spreads it across the box, side netting from White.
Both fullbacks combining, a trend that continues from yesterday. Wonderful run from Cowan, coming into the centre of the pitch, and then the angle was a bit tight for White. Just probably should have tried to get it across the face of goal rather than the near post, but perhaps felt the goalkeeper would have it covered. But brilliant half for the English side.
Crystal Palace will be delighted. The referee blows his whistle for the 15-minute break. We'll be going over the goals in just a second, as well as the highlights. The Crystal Palace certainly looking stronger than they were yesterday, Ben.
Stronger, more determined to run up a score. I think that 1-0 scoreline was a bit too precarious for them yesterday, even though they weren't troubled much by East Bengal. Rob Quinn was clear before the game and saying that he wanted to see a bit more from an attacking perspective. It was a bit of a drab affair yesterday in truth, but today has been very different thus far. And the goal, just great work from Redhead. Never gave up. You might see a lot of strikers pull out of that. It's unfortunate the keeper suffered a bit of an injury there. Thankfully he's okay, but well finished, and it was a much deserved lead that they took. It was always gonna come. It was a matter of when, not if.
What a ball that was.
Yeah, great ball. They might have 1 or 2 complaints over that challenge, but the ball was there to be won. It was more the follow-through that caught the keeper. Don't want to see referees blowing up for those incidents. And Lamiras has probably been the standout player for me involved in that move. This was just the point of the game when he really started to take over and show us his full skill set, which did lead to an assist for the second, which Montien converted really well. Probably the most impressive 25 minutes we've seen from any side, you and I, Ollie, and just wonder if second half Crystal Palace might look to add to their advantage. I think Rob Quinn would be very pleased with that.
Absolutely. Of course, I think the other standout performance, we saw 2 yesterday in Aston Villa. Crystal Palace did win, but like we said, more straightforward than outstanding, you would have to argue. But Aston Villa, they were quite sloppy at the back. They're 1-0 down right now to Stellenbosch. Not that that has any bearing on yesterday's result, of course. But due to the fact that they did concede 2 goals, they did look quite shaky at the back. Rory Wilson did say in his full-time interview that he was, of course, happy with the way they came out in the second half. So they did have a strong second half, but like you said, the best half performance we've seen out of any side so far has certainly been this one. And then Crystal Palace is going to be a really exciting side to look at and to monitor for the rest of the tournament. Can they make the final? Well, so far they're favourites. You've got the side behind us, the hosts, currently 1-0 down, of course, so they're not looking promising as of yet to try and take every point possible, but Crystal Palace are doing just that. What a lovely take that is as well. The bounce of the ball just happened before Montien guided it in. It was an adept touch. It was an adept touch.
Yeah, it sat up
Really good
lovely
work
for him. Sat up really nicely, and the Meras, as I say, with the assist, been so influential. Saw some creative players for Palace yesterday. Lemairas probably the pick of the bunch so far. Just playing in that little pocket of space between the lines. A lot of flair about him. Reminds me of Philippe Coutinho, the way he plays. Similar sort of diminutive figure.
Bit of a governor general at points as well. Manages to dictate the play. Knows when to go short and go long. Comes inside really nicely as well. Saw some great link-up play down his right-hand side. Like a small figure on the wing, but certainly has the ability to pick out a pass, and of course, what we saw in that second goal. As for Muthoot, Ben, of course, we can go on about Crystal Palace all day long. Muthoot, of course, an underwhelming performance from them. They won't be happy. You could see that their coaching staff were clearly unhappy at some of the refereeing decisions, but also at their performance. What do you think they need to do, and who stood out for you, Ben?
Yeah, just on the refereeing decisions, I think that's just sort of a totting up process of annoyance from the performance, and it sort of bleeds over into frustration with the officials. I don't think there was anything they could have had too many complaints about. I think Enas with the brilliant effort on goal, and Krishna had a couple of decent chances as well. Those have probably been the two that have stood out, but it's always going to be difficult. I mean, Palace would have come into this as favourites. They're a strong side. We saw that yesterday, and they've got so much depth, as we've also mentioned. And Muthoot coming off a defeat, it was always going to be difficult to rock up at 10 a.m. this morning and get back into this competition. There are clearly levels between these two sides in terms of pace and size, strength, all the attributes you need, even though this is the Palace under-19s and Muthoot FA might have a couple of years on them on average, so Crystal Palace must be commended for how they've been so assured. But Muthoot will obviously make changes. See that having a team talk down there now. They did start to show a little bit more towards the end of the first half. No clear-cut chances. The NS effort probably as close as they came, but that would have been a spectacular one. Can't expect to get back into the game with those sorts of efforts. But fair play to them for coming back into it. Heads must have dropped a little bit when it went 2-0, because we've not seen that sort of deficit overturned. Now, it is only 25-minute halves. Of course, the ball going out of play does result in the clock stopping, but you still end up slightly less than perhaps the regular amount of time you usually see in a 90-minute match, although there's not much in it. But to come back against this Palace side who haven't conceded in a game and a half at 2-0 down is going to be very difficult.
Of course, it's going to take some asking, and when they have had the chances, or the bodies forward, let's say, Muthoot that is, they just haven't had the quality to get the ball into the box and actually make a chance of a cross. And by the looks of it, that's their tactics going into this game. Try and get out wide when they can, whip a ball in, but when you haven't got a man in the box or the precision in the crosses to find the man in the box, it's going to be very, very difficult. And that's why so far you're seeing a fairly relaxed Crystal Palace, albeit at the end Muthoot did start to ask some questions going forward and playing the ball along the floor, which we haven't seen much of from them this season or this competition. Crystal Palace back out on the pitch. Muthoot still having a team talk there in the centre circle with one of their coaches going around in the middle, having a chat to them, having a debrief. I wonder what they're saying when you're 2-0 down against clearly a very strong side who you may feel do have more quality than you. What goes through your head, I suppose, Ben? How do you motivate a team that clearly are the second best and they're 2-0 down?
Very difficult, especially at 2-0. If they could have got into the break just one goal down, it would have been a very different team talk. We have seen other Indian sides get back on level terms in those situations, and I'll tell you what, the last thing they want to see is Sebastian Williams coming on. Looks like he's going to play the second half of Palace, so that's going to make life altogether more difficult. But they do look a little bit dejected down there. The coaches are trying to rally. I think, you know, they've obviously got the whiteboard down there, maybe some positional adjustments, because Crystal Palace were playing a very high line in that first half, and that's purely down to the fact that they could afford to. You know, Muthoot found themselves 3-on-3 at times, but I think Palace were okay with that. They had the faith that they could deal with those situations, and like you said, a couple of those crosses from Muthoot players just went astray, just a bit wasteful, just lacking that composure. But need to see a bit more energy from them. They do look a little bit defeated, but there's still something in this for them. It's a big occasion. You don't want to be going home this afternoon having been beaten in both games. That pretty much rules you out of making the final. So this next 25 minutes will decide whether they come back tomorrow with any hope of advancing, although it's already a tall order in truth.
There is going to be a substitution. Can he be the man to try and change matters? Number 18, Mohamed Enas, comes on. Still got the attackers. Number 10, Arjun. I believe that's another player that's come on as well. Number 18's number 18, Mohamed Enas. Number 10, Arjun MN. And they are coming on, as Ben mentioned as well. Williams, the number 8 for Crystal Palace, come on too.
Yeah, happy to see him again. He was really impressive yesterday. So dominant, so strong on the ball. We saw a bit of that from Adams Coleman as well, the man who it looks like he's replaced. So two very similar players in that position. And you mentioned yesterday about the senior team and their style sort of feeding through down to the youth levels, and even in this squad you've got very similar players in every position. We've seen Cowan at left back, similar mentality to Benamar, getting forward, getting crosses into the box. We've seen a bit of that from White as well, so definitely a very clear plan how Crystal Palace Football Club wants to operate on the pitch.
Absolutely, it'll be good to see David Montien down our left-hand side as well. Of course, that has been exchanged for seeing Lamiras, who had a brilliant game in that first half. They're both wide players, as well as Redhead, who has looked promising. Of course, he had a part to play in Crystal Palace's first goal. He just lies between the two tricky wingers of Montien and Lamiras. Crystal Palace just starting the second half off in their own half. Passing round the back, Walker Smith trying to spot the run of Montien. He's unable to get there before their number 6, Sahad.
Yeah, Adams Coleman actually is still on, so him and Williams going to be very difficult for Muthoot to trouble those guys.
All still alive here, and it's towards that back post, and the substitute Williams was there. White with the volley. They let it bounce, Muthoot, which then falls kindly to Montien. Redhead just trying to take it through the Muthoot number 8, Raj. The referee blows his whistle, and it's a free kick.
Yeah, that was a decent effort from White. The way the ball sat up for him was a bit too high for him to just completely put his foot through it, so had to sort of come across it, as you see here. That just meant that he couldn't get the strike he wanted on it, but White showing some positive signs, getting forward.
Cowan switching it to that right-hand side. There's a bit of room here for Muthoot to manoeuvre into. Instead, they win the foul, and it's Jerome Assay who is the culprit.
Yeah, no complaints. That was a really firm challenge. If he did get a touch on the ball, it took a lot more of the man. An opportunity here for Muthoot. Crowd the penalty area, but they've left a lot of men back. I wonder if he's going to go for goal the way he's shaping up here.
So it's a shot with a stance that looks like he's going to fancy his chances. He does, but it's unable to beat the wall. Disappointing there, as he had the confidence, not the execution. Unable to get it past Assay. Assay gives away the throw. One thing, that's something we noticed yesterday, especially from East Bengal, their player to man, a brilliant throw. If that's something Muthoot can possess.
Just another instance there of a lack of ideas, lack of any real impetus, just more hopeful than anything else from Muthoot. It's just not a great sign at the start of the second half. You want to see a bit more energy from them, but just doubt there's that much belief among the 11 on the pitch.
There's Assay into White. Just the one change made by Crystal Palace. On the ball, here's the first goal scorer. Williams lurking. Gives it to Walker-Smith instead. Got Cowan in plenty of room down this left-hand side. Has to hold his run to stay onside. Montien into Coleman. Alice passing it around, but that's a sloppy touch from Williams, and that allows Muthoot to try and get forward. A poor ball, really poor. Straight back into the grasp of Assay. Who had time to play it to Williams. That's a beautiful switch to Cowan. Lovely touch to keep it under his control. Here's Montien, but the assistant referee's flag on the far side has been raised. That cuts short any potential opportunity for Crystal Palace there.
Again, a bit of inexperience, not just holding the run. So much space, bit of a 2-on-1 situation was brewing down that left-hand side, but what a ball it was from Williams across to Cowan, who they're always going to look for. He's always in a lot of space. I'm surprised who haven't identified that danger and done something about it. But Williams, who had the loose touch a moment ago, showed his true qualities with that ball.
Walker-Smith. Just in front of Assay for him to run onto. Challenge, and they win it back. Cowan with room down this left, and it's a lovely poked ball into the direction of the Palace left back. Still finds room, given the fact that he was shoved over there at the byline. Lost his footing, I think. No foul given, but he's down, just holding his collarbone, it looked like. Luckily, he's all, well, back up somewhat.
That was really good work, though, from Sahad. I was complaining in the first half a little bit about how Muthoot were allowing Cowan too much space, and he was galloping into the box there and looked like it was going to be a dangerous situation. He is quick, but Sahad got back really well, identified the danger and stopped what could have been a really difficult cross for Muthoot to deal with.
The first corner of the second half. 3 and a bit minutes in. Chance for Palace to really seal the win here. Cowan just off seeking some medical attention. In the meantime, Palace will play with 9 outfield players, and they'll almost score. Headed at the back post to the far corner, just past the post from Walker-Smith. Good opportunity, Ben.
Yeah, the height advantage again, paying dividends. It's been an issue for Muthoot all morning. You know, 3 Muthoot players leapt for it, but Walker Smith didn't have to do an awful lot to get the contact on it, just couldn't quite direct it goalwards. Decent effort. Always tough when you're sort of going backwards to generate enough power and direction on it to trouble the keeper, so wouldn't put that down as a sitter. Maybe be a bit frustrated with himself that it didn't work, the keeper. He's already had to pick the ball out the back of the net twice.
Redhead, the furthest forward by fair distance. Marius just holding off the press, allowing Redhead to. But here's Cowan, the left back, playing like a left winger. Ball finds its way through to the middle of the park to Raj. Dispossessed. Palace win it back, and that's a lovely link up between Coleman and Cowan. Here they are from this left-hand side. Cute pass on the floor to Williams. Quick feet from Lemiras. Wins the foul. That was brilliant.
Typical Lemiras. Seen that from him all day. I love the awareness, though, of Williams in the first instance. As soon as he received the ball, he was looking all around him, understood how much time he had to pick out Lemiras. As he picked it up on the edge there, he knew that if he could find his teammate, he was going to make something of it, and he knew exactly what was coming from the Muthoot defender there. Just little touch of his left foot, invite the foul, and possibly a shooting position.
Lovely ball, finding Lemiras. On that right-hand side is Williams. Lovely ball, fizzed into Montien. Williams just opens up his body on his right. Big arse there for Lemiras to get to, but he finds the ball on the byline. Williams, so energetic since he's come on. Ben, you were full of praise for him when he came on for this second half.
Yeah,
really good player.
He was someone that stood out yesterday, anchoring that midfield, gets forward well, can tackle, can pass, great physique. I think he's got a lot of potential. He had a sloppy touch shortly after he came on, but everything we've seen aside from that, really assured, got a mature head on his shoulders.
Walker Smith just dealing with the Muthoot pressure there. They're of it. Players running onto him. No one making any dangerous moves on the Crystal Palace backline as of yet in this second half. Maybe Muthoot, you'd think, after going into the half-time break 2 goals down, maybe they just want to start the second half like they started the first, sit back a bit, try and have a damage limitation approach and maybe try and hit them as the game goes on, and maybe Palace start to tire perhaps. Lemiras with the chest down to Redhead. Don't think Redhead read that though. Maybe not on the same wavelength. Williams chasing Ashar. Late challenge, Ashar with a brilliant run towards the byline, pulls it back, and it was a cleared away, but Williams will be happy with that as Ashar beat him well.
Yeah, great pace. Really had the beating of Williams there, and there were a couple of bodies coming into the box for Muthoot. That was really a really good moment for them. You had Arson arriving at the back post, but fortunately from a Palace perspective, it was cut out before it could reach him. But yeah, the pace on show there was really impressive.
That does give something for Crystal Palace to think about. The switch executed well, albeit with a bit of luck, but actually that came down to the excellent hold-up play of Montien, who managed to use his body well, and here he is, Montien, who's been one of the standouts for Palace in this morning's fixture. Switch out wide.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Used his body there, 1TN, to orchestrate that opening. And again, it almost allowed Cowan in. The threat that he poses continues to be a problem.
Walker Smith just trying to organise from the heart of that back line. Cowan. All players calling for his name. He chooses to go alone, which will frustrate them. He had opportunities to pass, but went alone. Walker Smith just being occupied there from Krishna. And number 9 for Muthoot. Alice with loads of room on that right-hand side for White to run into, and he uses the space well. Just tracked back by Raj. Williams.
Look at the space that Cowan's in on this near side, though, if they can find him. He's calling for it, and here he is.
Find him well. Brilliant fullback performance so far. Sloppy ball in with his weaker foot. Muthoot trying to organise this attack as they want to make things count now. 15 minutes to go. Crystal Palace playing like they did in the first half, calm and composed, switching the play nicely, really giving Muthoot any chance. The only glimmer of hope Muthoot have had was from that run from Ashar down the left. Apart from that, been a fairly straightforward day for Kashiba in that Crystal Palace goal, hasn't it, Ben?
Very much so. Hard to see that really changing in the last quarter of an hour. Palace that have got all the ball, and Muthoot restricted to just counter-attacks. 2-0 down is not how you want to be looking to get back into the game, but I think you have to accept sometimes there is just a bit of a gap in quality. And that's certainly the case here.
White. Much to say in this second half so far. Lemiras, a dangerous ball in, just dips below Anas, but he claimed it well.
A really good ball in, came in with pace. Just the one body in the box though for Palace. Lemiras, as soon as he picks up the ball, he's looking to make something happen. He's looking into the box, looking for a teammate. Got 1 assist to his name, and he's hungry to make more of an impact going forward.
Right from Montien just then to keep the ball in. Good desire to keep the ball in play. Try and play on. That's a lovely run by Palace's first goal scorer. Now it finds its way to Lemiras. What a great goal this could be. Redhead just has to compose himself. Takes it towards the right of the Muthoot back line. Cleared away. A goal that could have been. Always appreciate seeing players who sprint to the byline, even if it's going to be a throw-in for their side. They'll still sprint and try and get the ball, keep it in play, keep the momentum going, and that would have been a really well-deserved goal. Here they have another chance. Redhead rolls it low, doesn't get the connection he would have desired. There are going to be some more changes, and those are for Muthoot. 2 more to come on.
Just dragged his effort wide there, Redhead. A bit of a tight angle for him. So easy for him to get in, though. Lemiras with the cute little ball through, and it's always going to be difficult. Knew he had to go across the goalkeeper. But when you do that, you do often see strikers just drag it a bit.
Krishna, the number 9 for Muthoot, has come off. On has come 33, Mohammed Adnan. So Krishna for Adnan. Final 12.5 minutes. You'd assume he'll be playing the rest of the game. Challenge in on Williams. He doesn't look happy. Even the player for Muthoot was, I think you could tell he was trying to apologise, but Williams wasn't having any of it.
It wasn't a clever tackle, I think it's fair to say. Does go into the referee's notebook. Adnan.
Literally just come on. That won't please his boss. Already you can see down to my right, he's having words with him. His arms up against his side, as if to say, what is that all about? I bring you on and now you're in the book.
Well, you don't want to see bad tackles, of course, but at least it's some energy off the bench. At least it's somebody fired up to try and get their team back into the game. Of course, you've got to draw the line somewhere, and Williams clearly unhappy with the tackle, but just want to see some passion. I know it's difficult when you are clearly second best in all departments. Got to keep going until the end, keep fighting for this, because as it stands, they're going to be out of the race for a place in the final.
Adnan there, just pushed to the floor. Maybe Walker Smith was just giving him a slight shove as to say, don't you think about tackling my teammates. Otherwise you've got me to face. Here he is. Room around him, Adnan reluctant to press. Crystal Palace happy to just play with the ball. This is going their way, they're 2-0 up. Muthoot reluctant to press, Ben. You can't really see any other outcome now, can you?
Not at all. Now, we saw that challenge there from Adnan, but wondered if that was going to spring them into life a little bit in terms of the energy, but it's been quite the opposite. Sitting deep still. Obviously, don't want to get embarrassed, but I would have thought they want to get back into it. It's just not panned out that way.
Down with the back heel. It's read by Muthoot. Adnan just follows Walker Smith. Put him under any real pressure, of course. He wants to avoid chance of a second yellow, of course. Only seen one other red card. That was for the left back of Aston Villa yesterday. 2 yellows in the space of a couple of minutes against Punjab FC. Saw him given his marching orders.
What a day this is turning out to be for Palace. So, you know, they got the early start, so they're going to have their feet up by lunchtime with at least 7 points on the board by the looks of things. They see this out. They've not really had to exert too much energy. It's been very routine, just as it was yesterday, in truth. And they've got a completely fresh set of players that played yesterday and have sat out this morning to come back in tomorrow and perhaps book a place for them in the final. They'll want to win the penalty shootout that we're going to see at the conclusion of this as well. Obviously, we see that in every game, but yeah, the Palace coaching staff will really feel as though they don't have 1 foot in the final yet, but they're getting ever closer.
That switch is just cut out by the number 10. Arjun MM. Of course, talking about Palace's fixtures now, you take it that they're going to make this 2 wins in 2. Very, very unlikely that it'll be anything else. Of course, they've still got a penalty shootout to win. Then the next game is tomorrow at 3 p.m, which I feel like a bit of a luxury, considering that they were the opposite yesterday and today. Obviously kicked off 3 p.m. British summertime yesterday, so got a bit longer to prepare, and like you said, they've got a fresh batch of players that they can deploy. Haven't even seen Marjoram. Terrific game yesterday, but this man here has had a terrific game for the left side, the Palace defence. Certainly another to look out for.
Yeah, he was just caught in 2 minds there, Cowan. There were 2 players making runs either side of him. In the end, kind of played a central ball through, which neither of them anticipated, but it was a great pass initially from Walker Smith, very crisp into his left back.
Clip there from Redhead. As Sahad looks fairly frustrated. Then the number 5 is going to come on, Samade, who started yesterday's game against East Bengal. Looks like he's going to be coming on. Say came to the touchline, but he continues to drink water, which will suggest he's going to carry on. And then it's another couple of substitutions for Muthoot, and number 99 coming on, Atul, as well as the number 14, Akshay Kumar Subedi. Akshay on his back, so Akshay comes on. And for the Crystal Palace substitution, Samade on for Walker Smith. Of course, played yesterday's game, so given a well-deserved rest. as he comes off with his side 2-0 up.
Yeah, you'd be surprised if you saw Walker Smith start tomorrow, given how many minutes he has played compared to the other defenders. But Samade getting 9 or 10 minutes here perhaps will be in the manager's mind to get a good run out tomorrow. Well, Palace boss Rob Quinn did say that they are very meticulous in their planning for all competitions and all formats. And this one no different, and this one probably is the most important to do so, given the 4 days back-to-back of action.
Well, Thamim about to enter, the number 2 for Muthoot.
It's like Redhead's got a problem.
Of course, they do have Benji Casey to come on. They needed a like-for-like replacement for Redhead, who, albeit isn't on the score sheet, Ben, I think he still had a good game. He still had good hold-up play, especially in that first half. I've commended his performance.
Yeah, well, it was his run and his anticipation and his desire to win the challenge with the goalkeeper that led to the first goal. So that run off the shoulder, which we've seen a couple of times from him, we saw it from Casey yesterday. He is going to need to be withdrawn though, and that might be an issue for Palace going forward if he's unable to play any further part in the tournament. So hopefully this is just a precaution, but you see Casey getting ready. It wasn't the most long of warm-ups for him. He basically got up off the bench as soon as Redhead went down, did a little sprint towards the corner flag, and he's already been called back to come on. So see if he's raring to go.
Casey, one of the players who was interviewed after yesterday's game. Interesting, when he was asked about the difference of playing against a side from England and a side from overseas, he even admitted saying they show more passion and are more physical, or are typically very physical. But it's interesting when you hear that they're more passionate. Of course, you know, there are vibrant cultures around the world. You play teams from India, you can imagine that to be the case.
And not to be overly critical of Muthoot, but you haven't really seen too much of that passion from them this morning. Going down in the first half, obviously not ideal in that regard, but you know, he just played East Bengal, and I think even though they were abject at times, they did show a little bit more in that department. So I wonder if we'll hear similar comments from Palace representatives after this game, because it has been a bit of a stroll in the park for them, to be completely honest.
Absolutely. It's been the same narrative. I said yesterday about East Bengal, we played better. Didn't really have a shot, of course. But who did have a shot today? It's a remarkable acrobatic effort this side of the field, where Palace are currently attacking. Montient into Williams, a low drilled pass to the direction of Coleman, who's now joined by Casey. It's an awkward clearance from Asai. Time it's slightly more convincing. Managed to find room on this right-hand side, and it did look like he's in an offside position.
It's frustrating. One opportunity they had to get out wide, and he was in good space there, was Arsene. So just to not look across the line and understand where you are in relation to the back four is really frustrating, and just sums up the attacking display from the Indian outfit.
Sahad, the number 6, who's played right back this game, has come off for another right back, it looks like, and that's going to be Rahman. So here's the substitute, Samadi, looking for Montient. Pokes forward cutely, but to the path of a yellow shirt from Muthoot.
Oh, I think he's bought that. Went down very easily. Saw a bit of a protest from Muthoot, and I don't blame them. He's mentioned that the coaching staff have been frustrated with the referee. I think he's been good generally, but this one I think got wrong. There's not a lot of contact there, if any. Just knew the ball was getting away from him. Tried to by a free kick, and it's panned out exactly that way. And 5 minutes to go. Last thing Muthoot need is another set piece to defend.
Oh. Set piece taken cleverly. Thought they could have struck it, but instead they went for the cross. We saw that a bit yesterday, didn't we, Ben? When they did have opportunities for set pieces. What a challenge that is from Williams. Brilliant effort from the captain now.
That's just Williams all over. So physical, completely fair tackle.
Yeah, it might have been an awkward fall. Certainly not down to the fault of a poor challenge from Williams. But as I mentioned yesterday, we saw a few of Crystal Palace's opportunities when they had set pieces. They chose to go the different route of maybe passing it along the floor rather than just a shot at goal, even if it was a promising position. We saw the same with Aston Villa. Perhaps that's a trend we're seeing from the English sides.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, they're 2-0 to the good. Opportunity to try out some things they've been working on in the training ground. There's not going to be any real repercussions off the back of it. You know, if they were chasing the game, you might just see them have a dig from that sort of range, as we see Williams' tackle again. So strong in those sort of situations. The number 8 for Palace. Been impressed with him on both occasions, today and yesterday. Just can't miss him with that haircut and the tall figure.
Looks around, the Governor General, and to order things from right to left. It's Samadi. Cowan just coming in field. Williams running around the left-hand side. Certainly likes to play with some versatility. Players all onto that right-hand side as Palace look to maybe bring it over to this left. Samadi, the decision maker. That's a poor pass, but it falls kindly back to the captain, Williams.
Yeah, they're just looking to see this out now, really. No need to force anything. Got a few minutes just to secure this clean sheet. And then it's on to penalties.
Looked like a lovely ball almost, but it was well defended in all fairness from their number 5, Anseal.
Yeah, but time is running out for them, unfortunately. Just not a lot of urgency. Hasn't really been any all game. And the most disappointing thing was Muthoot's response to going behind.
Fed in. That's a lovely ball. Can he get his first goal of the campaign? Oh, it's beautiful. One of the man of the matches. An excellent goal from David Montien. From Enrique Lamiras, in fact, as he curled it in with his left. What a goal that is, Ben.
Yep, and he's fully deserved it for his performance. All game he's been lively, got his assist earlier. And we talked about Casey yesterday, perhaps not getting much joy in front of goal, but that time he was patient. Of course, he would have loved to have got a shot off himself, but with 4 defenders around him and Lamiras in support, the best thing to do was just to set it up for the wide player who just guides it into the far corner beautifully. And I think Palace, a good value for this 3-0 advantage.
Unfortunate for Benji Casey not to get his first goal, as he's put himself in good positions, just like he did then. Just had players around him, pulled the trigger, but of course it ricocheted kindly back to Lamiras. He's got an assist and a goal now. Surely the player of the match with those statistics to his name this morning.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are going to be playing for their place in the final. We've seen a lot of rotation across the first 2 games with different lineups. Whether it's as straightforward as the plan for Sunday is to roll with this team, given that they'll have a day's rest tomorrow in theory, but they will, of course, want to play their best side in that game at Loughborough should they reach it. And Lamiras has really done himself no harm in his bid to make sure he's in that lineup. He'll have some difficult decisions at fullback as well, with Cowan playing well today, just as Benamar did yesterday. Sorry that, Ollie, interrupting.
That's the art of commentary. Kyrie Adams, the player that got us underway. Feels like a long time ago now. It's been a brilliant game for Crystal Palace. They've had such good football, played such good football since that first goal, which was arguably the easiest of the lot, but it was still well taken by Rhys Adams. The goalkeeper came off his line. Briefly injured for a second, but number 18, Kyrie Adams, was there. And of course, David Montien, who got the second goal, not the third when I said that. Of course, it was Enrique Lamiras, provider of the second, the scorer of the third. Just under 2 minutes to go of the second game in the Next Generation Cup for both these sides. It's been a brilliant performance from Crystal Palace. Can they get a fourth? They can't. Assistant referee's flag has been raised, but Muthoot now will be playing for pride. Very, very unlikely for them to get anywhere near the top 4, or even 6, of course, tomorrow, or Sunday, in fact, after the positions are finalised. It's first versus second at the Loughborough University Stadium, third versus fourth, fifth versus sixth, seventh versus eighth.
I think those 3 changes we've just seen are probably with an eye on penalties. Muthoot looking to make sure they got the best chance possible of getting that bonus point. It would be their first point of the campaign. So it would mean a lot to them. They don't want to go home empty-handed again.
And the Stellenbosch game has ended against Aston Villa. Stellenbosch have won. Just waiting on the scoreline. I believe they may have got a... Nope, only 1 goal. So Aston Villa 0, Stellenbosch 1 is the outcome of the game just behind us on pitch 2. Pitch 1, though, Crystal Palace with probably the best performance, well, the best performance we've seen, Ben, in this competition so far from any side. We'll have to see how the others have played, talking to the other commentators, but what a game that was for Crystal Palace. They go off the pitch with their heads held high. Things were kicked off after Kyrie Adams opened the scoring, and David Montien got on the end of a lovely Enrique Lamiras goal. Then there were no goals for a fair while, until recently, where Enrique Lamiras was there to just tidily finish a beautiful curled effort into the far corner. It ends here. Of course, Crystal Palace, the winners, 3-0. There will be a penalty shootout still to come. So with the Aston Villa loss, this really does put Crystal Palace in the driving seat to the final, doesn't it, Ben?
It does. We've got Everton to come later as well. Game we'll be watching together at 3 o'clock. But Crystal Palace, we've seen both their games now, and pretty much all 20 or so players that have been out there have all impressed. Like I say, depth in every position. Lamiras coming into the fray today and stealing the headlines. Another good display from Williams off the bench. The fullbacks were involved. No real concerns for the goalkeeper. And yeah, definitely the most dominant display we've seen. The best performance, because both games yesterday were quite tight. You know, Palace stayed in second gear for the whole 50 minutes there, but today, just as it looked as though it was going to peter out, they added a third. It came from the energy of Casey off the bench, who can't have been expecting to get a run out today, but with Redhead's injury, he was ready to go, got his assist. And I wonder if the golfing class we saw on the pitch will be replicated in the shootout, because that's been a trend we've seen so far. The games we've watched, Ollie, we've seen 3 Premier League teams win, 2 of them win in the shootouts as well. And I guess when you win the game, you're just on a bit of a high, whereas Muthoot will be coming into this shootout. They've just been pumped, in all honesty, and they've got to pick themselves up to try and get this bonus point.
Absolutely. They only came away 1-0. 1-0 losers against Everton. They 3-0 against Crystal Palace, yet to score, but Palace yet to concede, and their defence really is something that's been impressive so far, being able to shut out the attack. Their game tomorrow, though, is very big. It could even be a repeat of the final. We're at Stellenbosch at 3 p.m.
Yeah, just seeing Raj there down below us being taken away on a cart. I think he went down under the challenge of Williams, and looks like a shoulder injury for him.
Doesn't look good, doesn't look good. When he did go down, he held it awkwardly. The way it's wrapped up, it could even be a collarbone issue, and that would be devastating for him. That is extremely painful. So we hope Abin Raj is back to full fitness as soon as possible. Come out of the injury. It's never good to see someone get stretchered off like that. So Muthoot will really probably want to win this penalty shootout, not just for a bonus point, but for him as well. Crystal Palace will be coming up to take their first penalty. And it is the man that scored a brilliant penalty yesterday, Benji Casey, who didn't play much today, only came on towards the end of the game. Started the game yesterday, thumped his penalty home, and can he do the same now? Benji Casey up against an ass. Oh, it's like a replica, Ben.
He is lethal from the spot. The confidence, absolute perfection to just rifle that into the top corner. Keeper absolutely no chance, and if that's a sign of things to come, you struggle to see how Muthoot are going to come away from anything here. That was just so well placed and struck with power.
The third out of the Indian teams we've seen all of them now, and I'd say every single time they've always been quite unique in their penalty run-ups. Another one here, straight at the ball, and it's in. A good penalty, dispatched well by the captain as he walks back to his team with his head held high. It's the first time we've seen the Indian side score their first penalty.
Yeah, and it was a strange run-up, as you said, but what it does, it makes it very unpredictable, because the finish in the end, he opened his body up, but you couldn't have known that he was going to do that the way he approached the ball, so perhaps there was some intelligent thinking there. And good to see on level terms.
Well, here's Kyrie Adams up against the keeper, the man that got us off underway, that scored that lobbed effort from outside the box, is now inside the box to take the pen, and he sends the keeper the wrong way. He just knelt down to his left. Kyrie Adams struck it down low, some precision.
We've not really seen any Indian goalkeeper get particularly close to any of the penalties from the Premier League sides in the games we've seen, Ollie, and that goal there just capped up a great afternoon for Rhys Adams.
Absolutely. Muthoot for their second. It's their number 18. Mohamed Enas. Efforted run up this time. Oh, lovely penalty. You know it's a good penalty when the keeper goes the right way and it still hits the back of the net. Hats off to Muthoot's number 18, Enas.
Yeah, if you're going to place it like that, you've got to find the corner. And the accuracy there was what beat the goalkeeper. Really good penalty so far.
There's Lemiras. What a game he's had. And this would really cap it off, a goal and assist. Maybe a penalty. Brilliant left foot. Strike the penalty. Oh, brilliant. Side netting. 3-2 now to Crystal Palace. Muthoot with a chance to get it back on level terms. No pressure.
Yeah, Lemiras, that was never in doubt, was it? The way he's played today, full of confidence, and just stepped up and struck that as if he was taking a penalty in his back garden. Felt no pressure whatsoever, but Muthoot certainly will now.
Of course, Aston Villa Stellenbosch, their penalty shootout still going on behind us. Here's number 11 to try and make it 3-3. Ashar. He doesn't. I think that may have even been a save, Ben. I know it obviously came off the post. Was it palmed onto the post?
I think he did get a touch on it. As we see the replay, it looked a pretty precise penalty. Got done really well, the goalkeeper.
It was a save. Brilliant save from Joseph Koshiba. Hats off to him as Palace find themselves in the driving seat. And it's their captain who finished the game, as skipper, of course, Williams. One we've been impressed with. Ooh, cheeky fake shot there. Oh, excellent. Low, down the middle. 4-3.
And the keeper's just not really getting very close to any of these. That wasn't a brilliant penalty by any stretch. Of course, hard and low, but very savable.
So this to make it 4-3. This to keep Muthoot's hopes alive of a bonus point. Good penalty. Like it dipped even though when he struck it. Not the same conviction you see from the other penalties, but hit the back of the net, that's all that matters. Who am I to say what's good and what isn't?
Wasn't a ferocious strike by any means, but pretty well placed. Not right in the corner, but enough to beat the keeper.
Here's Coleman to win it, to score all 5 of Palace's penalties. And he can't. He looks shocked and he looks gutted as he had the chance to secure that bonus point. Muthoot will be licking their lips now.
Well, it's the first sign of any real nerves from Palace player as the rest of the team come to console him.
Crystal Palace going over to him, very supportive. For a second I thought it suddenly finished, but props off to Crystal Palace for going over. Console their man who's had a brilliant game in attack. And they make it 4-4. It's the number 4 for Muthoot. Krishna. And they get back in it.
Do you know what? I think the third penalty for Muthoot went in. We couldn't see from where we are that it might have been tipped onto the post. I wonder if it just did find the back of the net. It's very difficult to tell from our angle.
So it's 4-4 and it's ended. The referee's blown his whistle.
No, I think Muthoot have won this 5-4. Yep, just getting it confirmed below us. That third penalty was scored. So Muthoot have got the bonus point. Yeah, the ball hit the back of the net. It was tipped into sort of the side netting, but rather than hitting the post, it just hit the stanchion inside the net. Very difficult to see. But there you go, finally a win for an Indian side in a shootout.
Wow, okay, fair play Muthoot. It's good to see them make the most of that penalty shootout. Of course, that's understandable as to why Coleman looked gutted there, because clearly they realised it had gone in. The fourth official just telling us up here in the gantry that it did go in, as Ben has mentioned, even though on the replay it didn't look the case. But we can look at that back and have a look at to see what went down. But Crystal Palace overall, they may have lost a penalty shootout, but they certainly won the game. Props to them. When they've been asked to play the football in the 100 minutes they played so far, they've been pretty good, haven't they, Ben?
They have, and losing that bonus point might not prove as costly as it may have done, because we've seen Villa drop points this morning. Stellenbosch got the win there, and they don't have a perfect record either. They lost a shootout yesterday, so Everton can pull clear later on, but 7 points out of a possible 8 for Palace, and it did hit that stanchion as you see there, so very difficult for anyone to tell, especially as it bounced out off the frame of the goal, but it was the stanchion. And very bizarre incident, but one that Muthoot won't be complaining about one bit.
Not at all. It's good to see the replay. Obviously with these goals, training goals, you do have those stanchions there, the metal frames that can actually rebound it and make it look like it did miss, which is exactly what happened. But we are going to be joined in a second by our presenter, Grant Ibwauke, as he's going to be with 2 of the star men of the game, David Montien and Enrique Lamiras. Of course, just before that, an excellent 5-star performance from Crystal Palace. They just couldn't back it up with the penalties. Of course, it was unfortunate for Coleman. Could argue fortunate for Muthoot. They They won it. That's all that matters for Muthoot. The penalty shootout, of course. They've got that bonus point. They've got their campaign underway. And now we can go down to Grant, who is joined by David Montien and Enrique Lemiras.
All right, guys, I'm now pitchside at the Premier League Next Gen Cup 2024. I'm with two Palace players after their 3-0 win against Muthoot. I'm with Jerome and I'm with Kyrie's. How are you guys today?
Doing good, happy to win. Yeah, I'm doing good as well. Good performance from us.
How's your experience been at the Next Gen Cup? This is the second day. How's your day been?
I think it's been good, really. Very good weather. It's really hot as well, so it's hard to play in, but yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah, it's been a good tournament so far, 2 wins, and we're aiming to win our next game as well.
Talked about the weather. I just want to how does that impact it? Because England don't always have the best weather, but playing in this heat, how does that impact your preparation and how you take to the pitch?
Just need to make sure you stay hydrated because, you know, being hot and running in the sun for too long, your mouth can start to get dry, can start to get fatigued. So stay hydrated, you won't get cramp and stuff like that, can play longer.
You just got to make sure like you're eating well, like going to bed at a reasonable time so you're ready for the game.
I've spoken to a lot of your coaches and they've told me the importance of preparation and getting ready and like how importantly, how seriously have you lot been taking that? Obviously coming to Aston Villa's training ground, new environment, how seriously are you lot taking your preparation?
I'd say very seriously because we have a lot of like electrolytes before the game. They make sure we have a lot of water like straight after the game. Like they check our weight as well, like before and after. So we do a lot.
I think the prep before was really important because like we're coming here, we don't really know too many teams playing there, so they don't really want to underestimate anybody. So just prepare the best you can and play the best you can as well. So yeah.
I want to talk about the penalties. Already, you lot are getting that experience of taking pressure penalties. How do you look prepared to step up? Because after each game there's been a penalty shootout. You have to think about how you're going to strike the ball, what you're going to do. How do you look prepare for penalties?
I normally, before my turn, I just pick a corner that I'm going to go to and stick to that and really commit to it. Once you change sides, you're really just indecisive when you get to the spot. And it just shows, and then the keeper's all confident and just ruins your shot, really.
Yeah, like because we get to practice it in training, so you can try things. If you miss, it's not really big of a deal, but in the game, just pick a side and don't change it.
I need one last thing from you lot before this interview ends. I need you lot to help me pick the player of the match from your club. Who performed, who are we giving flowers to today?
I promise you, I'm trustworthy.
You've got to give on Next Gen Cup, we give flowers out. Who do you want to shout out in your performance?
Enrique. I think Enrique played really well. Obviously helped me get my goal as well. And yeah, got a goal himself as well. So.
Shout out Enrique, a goal and assist. What about you? Who are you going to give your player of the match to?
I'd say Enrique as well, goal and assist.
Enrique, if Enrique's people are watching this as well, shout out Enrique, goal and assist. Great stuff. Thank you, boys. I'm not going to send it back to the gantry straight away because I'm going to bring in a Muthoot player. Thank you so much. Hello, man. How are you today?
I'm good.
So could you tell the people your name, please?
I'm Naveen Krishna.
Naveen, thank you for joining us on this interview. Tough match, 3-0 loss. But you are playing against a really high level of opposition. How does it feel to go and compete against some of the best young players in England?
Yeah, we got a good experience against playing some European clubs. It's for me and for my teammates, it helps a good lot.
Again, just want to pick up on your performance because you did a lot of good things. Maybe the final action didn't happen as you might have wanted it to, but what sort of things were you happy at? What could you take from your performance? What was you happy about from your performance?
Yeah, we did our 100% in our ground, but the result was against us. But we are happy, but we did our 100% to our coaches.
And finally, what would you lot want to take from this match in order to improve for the next match? What are you going to hope to improve for your next match?
Yeah, we need to improve our attacking and some wing defensive movements. We lost in some wing movements. That was the mistake we did.
Thank you so much, Naveen. This has been the Premier League Next Gen Cup. I'm going to send it back to the gantry and good luck for the future, man.
Thank you very much, Grant. So thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back at 3 p.m. for the second round of games. Of course, that finishes Crystal Palace's second game, 3-0 winners against Muthoot. A brilliant performance from the Eagles. And of course, Muthoot next game is Spurs tomorrow, whilst Crystal Palace will face Stellenbosch. But later we'll be hosting 3 p.m. on the same pitch, Everton versus East Bengal. Take care everyone, it finishes here, Muthoot 0, Crystal Palace 3.